and life started. It was rough, it was tough. And we're in an environment that was toxic, we're in an environment that was not the usual environment we used to know. It's now a face me, I face you, there's no fence, just people that live in Job know what I'm talking about. Places where you just have public toilets everywhere, everybody's just ras, cultism, day bam, day wear, today they're shooting guns, tomorrow. So it was pretty rough. And imagine that switch, having to now survive in this environment, coupled with the fact that the kind of resources we used to have before, we were not having them anymore. So sometimes in a day, if we manage to see a meal, that day, heaven smiled down at us. But in all of this, as a child, I kept on wondering, what did we do wrong? Now, there's a side of my father's story also that I really didn't want to bring in, which is the side of his mom having some great influence in the whole marriage issue. But I used to remember most times when my dad's mom used to confront my mother, she would say things like, born man picking. I know I used to hear that. I knew it was an issue that my mom didn't have a male child. So I used to ask myself back then when that switch happened out, is there anything wrong with being a female child? Why would we be rejected because we were female children? Those thoughts. Why did my dad not come after my mom? Why did my dad not come to take us back? Those things were thoughts that kept on, ringing in my head. Of course, I couldn't share this with anybody, but this is me as a child of 10 years, 11 years, thinking in my head. So God helped us. My sister was still doing boarding, so mostly she was an Abloma girl, so mostly she's out. And then my younger sister, my mom was not really around physically, but oh my God, my mother was around in our heads because the way she brought us up, she was tough, she is a disciplinarian. She brought us up strong in the word of God. She always tell you, look, you don't have father. The only father you have is Jesus. Me, I don't have husband. The only husband I have is Jesus. She would teach you the word. I can remember how many times we finished the Bible in a year, like round, she didn't give you breathing space to misbehave. Like, who are you to be talking to a boy? Like, she was those kind of mother, like, even if she's not there and you want to do something bad, you just hear her voice in your head and your brain will recalibrate and you will know what to do, She always made us feel that, look, you were all I had, and if you fail, they will laugh at us. They will say, we talk them. So each time I told myself, there was this belief I had in my head that, Kai, I cannot fail in this life. There are people waiting to laugh at us. There are people waiting to say, we talk them. Not be woman, children, she born. There were people just waiting, and it was the truth. There were people just waiting to say, we talk them. And then we found ourselves in an environment that was so harsh. We had a particular neighbor that wouldn't just allow us rest. She would just wake up one morning and start singing song, rejected children, rejected children. Do you know how frustrating and how traumatizing that can be? A whole lot was going on around us at the same time. And in the midst of all of these things, because of the foundation our mother had given to us, which is the foundation of Christ, okay, it wasn't easy because to me, it was like, Mommy, with all this love you have for God, with all this, she was dedicated in serving God in the church, as at the time she was a deaconess. With all of these things, look how your life is and you're still holding on to this God. But one thing that made us grounded and remain and listen to her was how, despite all of these challenges, she held on to God. So we were curious to know this God that she would still hold on to despite all she was going through. And so that birthed my love for God. All right? And I just told myself, look, I won't fail in this life, and the only way I can fail in this life is holding on to Christ. And so I became a dogged lover of God. So for the most part of my life, you see me in church. The school, secondary school, I attended was the secondary school of the church we were attending. So immediately after school, I used to have change of clothes in my bag. I just straight to church. Stay in church till like 6, and then start heading home. All right? So it was a triangular life I had. School, church, house. School, church, house. School, church, house. Now, that unconscious or not deliberate thing that I was doing, just finding myself in the midst of church premises, I never knew that over the years helped prevent me from certain associations that would have happened if I was more at home because of the environment I found myself. Am I making any sense? But however, I still came back and I would still meet these people. They talk toxically, they talk vulgar words. You know, it's like your mother is teaching one thing, by the time you come out of the house, you're faced with another thing. It was a battle trying to balance morality. All right, the neighbors you have around you, the things they do, the things they watch, the things they sing, you know, you're tempted to want to join them and be it. Sometimes you join them and be it, you come back home, you're faced with another thing telling you, no, that is not acceptable. We push back, you know, this is the standard, this is the standard. Long story short, we're able to somehow survive that area of our lives. I was able to gain admission to study law. My elder sister got a scholarship and studied by Bayelsa State government and went to study medicine in Russia. And then my younger sister eventually got admission in Ghana. But then, during that period when things were tough, and I saw my mother struggling, I saw her selling off all her boxes of wrappers so that we could have food to eat, okay? I saw her doing everything in her power to ensure that we did not feel that the world had cheated us. And that was another reason I said, see, I must make it. How can I not make it? See what this woman has gone through, or see what she is going through, and then I'll now come out as it. So most times, even when I want to consciously misbehave, I just remember, Faith, you have a mother in the household that is doing everything in her power selflessly to ensure you come out as something. That thought alone will make me say, okay, you know what? I think I can manage. This pleasure can wait. Remember I told you I was in an environment where is it the issue of sex? Sex was, sleeping with people was like, it's nonsense. That one is it. It was everywhere. Clubbing, partying, name it. Any kind of immorality, we were surrounded. But then three of us, myself and my sisters, we made a choice. We said, look, our case must be different because, one, we will not feel our mother, we will not feel God. Two, those people that are waiting to laugh at us, they won't see that laugh. We will laugh last. And that was the focus we needed, and we continued with life. And then I was becoming very entrepreneurial. That was when the business spirit came into me. So I remember I shared this last year. While I was in secondary school, you know, I'll pay school fees with this hand. I'm collecting my school fees back with this hand because I was good with fine arts and all that. So our desks, then people have fine desks now. One used to be those iron desks. They'll manage to put wood to one side. That's the school I attended. So I used to cut the stencil, carve out the school codes, cut the stencil, dab paint, and dab it on the lockers. Okay, so the school said, instead of paying an outsider to be doing it, Faith is very good in fine art. She does these things. Let's give her the job. So when lockers come in their tents like that, the school supplies, their vendor supplies lockers. They just say, Faith, market has come. So they were paying me for each locker. My school, secondary school. So they were paying me for each locker. So I was making money. Then also during summer classes, like the long holidays, where you have your July break and all that, because I was also very intelligent as well too, the school retained me as part of the teachers. I used to be amongst my teachers teaching summer class. So the same thing they were paying teachers during lesson, they were paying me as well. The principal said he doesn't care. It's the same value that is being passed, whether she's a student or not. The thing you're teaching, she's teaching. That money you're paying, I'm paying you, I'll pay her. And that was it. So a couple of us like that, there were students that were good. You know, they retained us so somehow, and then I was so entrepreneurial. I will go anywhere looking for what to do. I sold magazines. Then those days, magazines, now you sell magazines. Anyone you sell, you have commission on it. You know, we sell magazines. We sold orange on the street. I was very entrepreneurial. In my mind, I was like, anything to just support mommy. Anything to just add. Mommy, okay, add this one. Even if, of course, now I look back at it and I laugh because it didn't mean anything. But just that mindset of wanting to support, let it not be that she's the only one carrying all the burden. So that mindset I never knew was the foundation for everything I am today. And then luckily, because remember I told you I always found myself in church, there were some set of friends I had in church that became the foundation of a whole lot of things that inspired my life as well too. God began to circle me with the right people. So one of the very good advantage I had as a child was having the right set of friends. Why to others, that is the first mistake they make. To me, that was the first advantage I had, the kind of friends I had. So because, remember, I was already thinking success, because I was already challenged by life to say, look, I must make it in this life, it automatically was pushing me to people that knew where they were going. Automatically, without knowing, you know, when they say like attracts like. When you don't know where you're going, people that don't know where you're going is that the people you'll be attracting. But when you know where you're going, it's people that know where you're going, they are going that you will be attracting. So that was what was happening to me. Because when I converse with you, you say, this girl has stuff, she's going somewhere. So you want to talk more, you want to introduce me to the next person, like that. And my circle of friends began to build. So when I got into the university, I was in year 1. By then, with my hustle and everything, I had found a real estate company that was selling land in Port Harcourt. I became an agent. I was not up to 20. Listen carefully. I was still a teenager. I was an agent selling land. By age 19, listen carefully, because of the agency work I was doing in the real estate company and, of course, a little support from my mom, I was able to buy my first landed property in Port Harcourt at the age of 19. Don't clap. Praise God. Hallelujah. It's a good achievement. But I don't want you to miss what I'm saying. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. I said I was 19. I had the opportunity to misbehave and tell God, you know what? It's not my fault. You messed up my life. Why wouldn't I misbehave? I had every justification to misbehave. And remember, I was a girl child, no provisions. I could sleep around for money. I had choices, boku, that I would be justified and say, nothing will happen. But then, I sacrificed those choices for better choices. Nothing in life that is good comes easy. I was at that young age, I knew that there would be a price that I will have to pay. So when my friends would be partying, even classmates in school, they used to call me Mary those days in school because I don't used to follow them to do anything that is bad. And anything that is bad, I'll be first person to report. So they used to I was everybody's friend, I'm a very social person, but they were always very angry with me at that part. Say, Faith, if you want to sin, allow us to sin. Must you now, that kind of thing. So in all of this, I began building that entrepreneurship mindset. And God helping me, by 19, I had bought the first land, Aropoku. That land is still there. I've not sold it. You can imagine how much. I bought it at 400,000 then. Imagine how much that land is. I intentionally just kept it there. It's still there. Out of all the that particular one, untouched, is still there. It's running into tens of millions now. At age 21, with all the hustle and bustle, I was in year 21, I was in year 1, I'll be year 2, I can't remember again. I bought my first car. Not man. Not one. Which uncle self did I have in the first place? We had no uncle, no auntie, no nothing. Just myself, my sisters, my mother, and God. And hard work. So when my friends will be partying, I'll be buying books. Those days, as a teenager, I had the library running into hundreds of thousands. See, and things don't happen. Success does not happen accidentally. There is a price that must be paid. And look, you cannot blame anybody. I didn't stay all my life blaming my father, blaming that woman, blaming uncle that is not helping me. I took my life in my hands. I didn't blame anybody. And so I was hustling. I will go to this company. If I see any company that looks like where I'm going, I'll go there and tell them, you know what, sir? I'll go and meet the end. And because I was so sharp, I could communicate very well because I had a good foundation with baritone. So my English was good, all right? And I was really intelligent. So most times, senior men, businessmen that are very entrepreneurial, they like people that are sharp around them. And when you're young and sharp, you attract them very well. So whenever I go to their companies, to them, They felt they were using me. So I see a company, I know the MD, I see that something I'm looking for that I want to portray in the future, you have it in your company. I'll go and tell you, sir, please, can I work for you? They'll look at me and say, Faye, you won't work for me. I cannot pay. I say, don't worry. Don't pay me. Just allow me to be working for you. Don't even give me transport. I will sort myself out. Try that with any Gen Z this year. Like, just ask them, I want to just do this. The first thing you hear is, how much will you pay? But then, as I got into those companies, serving these people, Faith, go here. Errand girl. Faith, do this. I became their driver. I became their janitor. I became everything. But the thing they didn't know they were doing is I was growing feathers. So MD is going for a meeting. Faith, come and follow me. That was how I knew I was entering rooms that my mates were not entering as PA. I was hearing conversations that CEOs and MDs discuss. It was rewiring my brain. I'm there. MD say, open my laptop, check this mail. I go, I see, oh, is this how they draft mail? Is this how they put file in folder? Is this how those days it was diskettes. Now you have all the floppy disks and all those. Those are what we were using those days. And I was learning. It was shaping they were not paying me. I will leave this company. Once I know that thing where they find, I don't get them. I found the next one again. Sir, I want to work here. Ma, I want to work here. And I was being used, tossed like that. I was not only growing feathers, I was growing track record of experience, work experience. I was not up to 20 years at the time when I had started this thing I'm doing. By the time I was in year 3, I had floated my first company, Big Crystal Limited. I was still a student studying law, but had floated my first company. And that first company was registered by one of the MDs that always believed in me as well. I just gave him my idea. Sir, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do, what I want to do. He said, okay, Faith, what will it take? I said, this is the amount. Immediately, he gave me the money. And I went and I registered the company in CSC. And I became an MD CEO while still a student. Now, remember the friends I told you about? I had met another set of them when I entered the university. Now, it was easy for me to identify those kind of people because I know where I'm going. So I was discussing with my protocol, Favor, before the program when she was with me. And I was telling her something. Look, when you are focused and you know exactly where you are going, you can easily identify what's a distraction. The Bible says when your eyes are single, your whole body will be full of what? Light. So friends that were not talking my language, I could easily identify. This one, I don't know what, this thing you're talking is not sounding like where I'm going. And I dissociate fast. No sentiments, no bias. You're just not going where I'm going. And so when I got to the university, it was easy for me to identify those kind of friends as well too. The ones that knew where they were going. Oh my God, I had super friends. And most of them were guys. So they just come and go, then that was the days, the early 2000s when Fela Durotoye was reigning, Sam Adeyemi was reigning, all of those heavy men. Then Miles Murrow was still alive and all that. They were just, and most of them, their parents were rich. I didn't have money so much as I did. Their parents were rich, so they could go for paid seminars, they could go for paid networking, mentoring classes, and they'll just come back and say, Faith, we went for this, so we know so you know if you come. Take this book, read. Take Flash, go watch. Take, and I kept on eating and eating and eating from them. They were reshaping my mind. They would tell me how they want to do this, how they want to build this. And I'm thinking, God, so people can think like this. Remember, I was still living in Diobas at the time. Still living with people that would be talking foul language, nonsense, all manner of rubbish. I was still in their midst, but already was becoming different, being shaped different because of the choices I was making as at the time. Choices of friends, choices of where to be part-time, choices of my spiritual faith. I could have made any other choice. And the world would say, it's not her fault now. And that was it. And before you know it, God began to open doors. God began to open doors. God began to open doors. My mom, transformation, opened doors for her. She was privileged to work with the Bayelsa State government up to the point of presidency. My sisters as well. God began to change our story. And then we knew that what our mother was saying was true. That Christ never abandons his own.